Hi, welcome to One Word a Day. I'm Sophie, your pilot into the universe of Chinese. We are going to continue our journey in discovering one new Chinese expression a day. Yesterday, we came across Chinese way of saying Olympian, and 奥运 is the abbreviation of Olympic Games, and 健儿 is Chinese definition to say athletes, basically. And today we continue with art, but instead of 健儿, which is a particular physique, like a well-developed human physical capacities, that's athletic, 男儿 is gender specific. So it's man, but we also pair it with cuties. So man cutie. Okay, and 本色, but root color. You kind of can see, right? Just by man cutie root color. It's a weird combination, but you can see where it's going, right? Okay, 南 farm field, this space with a cross in the middle, that's big farmland cut into smaller pieces, both by geographical limitations. Like there's no vast piece of land. Sometimes people have to grow crops on the side of the mountain and have like cut out a sliver of flat space to grow crops over there, and then it's a separation like from different elevation, right? That's one limitation. The other one is the farm fields were distributed among households, so it probably depends on how many people in your family. Then you were assigned into a certain size of the farm field. But in any case, there is this cutting, this separation of farmlands. So that's a field, farm field in particular. And then the bottom is the power symbol, the muscle power symbol that came from the tool, a farming tool that used as kind of a plow or rake. I don't really know the distinction. Seems like a plow is a bigger size of a rake. But in any case, to operate such a equipment, back then, before machines can do the work for us, we have to rely on the muscle powers, either it's animal muscle or human muscle. And among the household, who do you think would take that role of muscle power? It's the man. So power in the field, that's the gender specific profession back then. No choice. Majority of the population work in the farm field. And if you do work in the farm field, most likely, if you're raking, do the raking, that's hard labor. That depends on the muscle power. Most likely, you're a man. So that's the man definition. Farm power. Okay. Art, again, we have the cutie that came from this almost wave-looking symbol that got a little bit twist and turn. Let's see, almost like an S curve of this straight-legged, stand straight human figure. So this is contemporary human, and ancient got this one side is wrapping over the other side, but nonetheless, it's two-leg standing being, but two-leg standing. Ancient Chinese recognize one side is a little bit longer than the other side. I guess language creators back then already recognized we have two sides that may not be equal, most likely not. One side is dominant, right? So probably that's why. But nonetheless, this looks like kind of straight, right? Versus this like a wave looking like shape that represents kind of irregularity. It's because it's most likely used to describe small children that formed, like born not long ago, and still keep their human nature as embedded in their genes. So they are playful. They are not necessarily respecting authorities, doesn't really understand the consequence of their doing, and they are just going after their own impulses. And they probably cry and laugh a lot, and they have the curiosity that many adults don't have. So they have a lot of special attributes. And I think ancient Chinese use this particular, like this the right side supposed to wrap over the left side, right? But instead, this left side is kind of giving a thumbs up to say, to kind of refuse to be wrapped around. It's a little bit extension by my imagination, but that, to me, this childish quality, I'm not saying it's bad or better than adult, it's just different. It's a state of development in human, right? So that state of being, I use the word cutie to describe. This is more natural state of being before the cultivation from the culture, from the teaching, from your parents and schools, right? From before all that, you have your original color. Chinese use color to mean the original quality or temperament or tendency of a person. So 男儿, man, cutie. Okay, so it's a little bit weird when I put individual words like that, but 男儿 in Chinese, when this cutie, this childish quality paired with man, that means this man who is most likely young man who have their vibrant nature with them still. So they're still playful. So they are not fully grown men yet, which are kind of shaped by culture, by society like that already, but they are still have their cutiness in them. So that's the kind of man. Okay. 本色, 本, I translate it as root because 本 in its formation of the character, it actually does mean the root of something or the deepest part of that thing. Not necessarily mean rude, but it came from the plant. So, as a language user, we use the original meaning and then transfer that meaning to something else, right? Then that's how abstraction happened. We got this one character that's easy to understand and visualize, and then we use it to something bigger, or in more general terms, like apply to different situations. So 本 is one such word that came from this wood or tree symbol that have the convex and concave connected by a vertical line. That's the wood symbol. And I regard the top, the convex shape, as the canopy of the tree, and the bottom as two versions now. Bottom as the root of the tree. It's kind of a reflection of the top portion, right? It's a trident shape instead of upward, pointing downward, and they are connected in the middle. And so this is the underground portion, that unseen, but most likely in a vertical direction is bigger than the top growing side, because for the tree to stand steady that tall, the root have to go deeper than whatever the height above the ground, right? So it's kind of like a mirror image, but the tree root have to go deeper. And this horizontal line is an indicator to mean, okay, this root part is what we talk about. Okay, second version is I still like to see, it could be the language creators, when they first came out with the idea to describe wood, to use like a deep-rooted plant. That means it's a tree, right? It's reasonable. Or just like me, like normally I don't see the tree roots, right? It's underground, it's hard to see, to visualize. So for me, I would like to still visualize this part as the tree trunk above the ground, because if there is a ground, there should be a ground line over somewhere, right? If it's underground, there should be a line over here, something like that, right? There's no such line, and then it's open for interpretation, what that means. I still regard it as above ground portion, that this is a canopy and this is a trunk. And here, this line is a spacer, it's abstract. It's not exactly in the space, but it serves as a spacer to mean from the canopy to the bottom of the tree, that's visible, there is a big space, and that's the shape of tree, most likely, like above the ground. That's observable for us above the ground, right? And then this indicator up here, when it's pointing across the tree trunk, that means instead of the root, which is underground portion of the tree, that is pointing to the trunk of the tree. And the trunk of the tree is the essence to keep the tree alive or not. If the trunk was ruined, all the canopies are going to be gone. So this middle portion, that's the livelihood, the lifeline of the tree. So that means the trunk then, but the trunk still can mean the essence of the tree. Like when we first come to an object, like a tree, we may first notice the flowers or the leaves, right? Or the birds nested on the twigs. But most, like, pare all that down. A tree is defined by the capacity of its trunk. If it's sturdy enough or thick enough to carry all that nutrition above the ground to that height, to supply all the, the good-looking part of it, but the stable, the essence, the livelihood depends on the trunk. So that's my second reading of this. In any case, it means essence, the core part of the whatever matter you're examining. It definitely extends to its original tree domain, to everything else that we can think about when we want to look to the essence of things. That's what that means. Okay, so essence, color here. Color, we have one human figure that's kind of this one, but shortened, right? So it's a little bit distorted. And then we have a second human figure underneath. So this second human figure is kind of kneeling over there because there is this hunching. And this is supposed to be the leg, the feet, kind of sitting on the feet type of posture that shows submission. So this character is interesting because originally it came from one person, which is the oppressor. The other person is the oppressed. There is a power structure of inequality over there. The top person is showing the the color. Actually, the top person's intention or mood will then affect the bottom person, the oppressed. That oppressed person need to all the time observe and follow the top person, the oppressor's intention. So that, I think, applied to ancient Chinese society's power structure. So there, any two person in the room, always there is a stronger one and a weaker one in terms of their social hierarchy, right? The husband is stronger than wife. And then within the government, right, the rank is super clear cut. Who is the boss? It's clear. So between any human beings, there is this person in power. Person have to be, the lower person, the weaker one, have to be sensitive to the color, the mood, the temper, the intention of the person above them. And that's the origin of Si. It's a quite deep social observation of this power structure. And Si in particular means, in terms of a human body language, in particular, it means the portion between the two eyebrows, like over here, like this small world. In yoga term, is what's it called? The third eye, right? Well, I guess the third eye is a Buddhism concept, but in yoga, it's a chakra. Something like a chakra, your eyebrow chakra or the eye chakra, like somewhere between the eyes. So this observation of what's happening in between this small space show you all that intention and temper of the person you want to be careful with. So that's Si. Oftentimes we pair it with Lian Si, like look at the vibe of that person. English would say vibe. It's almost like the whole sphere, right? The whole energy emitting from that human. We say vibe, right? In Chinese, vibe is comparable to this Si, which is Lian Si. It's exactly here. Like that's where you go after in people reading. If that person is frowning or happy, so all happened within that small space. That's represented. So 本色 means, okay, imagine this place. If you observe one person throughout the day or different seasons, a lot going on in that small space, right? And which one is regarded as essential? Is it the most high frequency one? Like if that person is a happy person in general, then like 80% of the time they're happy. Or is it because there is this human tendency to camouflage, right? They may cover up their true feelings. So in trying times, in critical moments, in very rare occasions, they show their true color. Could it be that, right? So it's up to interpretation, but 本色 is the time when your reading of this is showing the true color of that person. That's the essential color, like the essence color, like paring down whatever societal train them to be. Like me, I'm probably more like a people pleaser, right? So pair off my people pleaser facade, right? Pair that societal conditioned facial expression. What's my true color when I'm facing a challenging time? So that's considered my root color. Okay, so 男儿本色. Okay, this is a Google Translate. I think it's a pretty good translation in understanding from an English perspective, like a real man or true color of man. Because here, I still want to point out the nuance there because 男儿, we still have the cutie in there. So it's almost like passage of adulthood, right? So to show you your true man. So 男儿, from this 儿, transition to a man who work in a farm field, hard labor, tough life, right? Who is, the head of the household. So a lot on them to show their true color, to expose their real nature that belong to them or define them as manhood, I guess, or masculinity even. Like probably 男儿 is not like masculinity. And masculinity in today is still a complicated concept, but 男儿 just to show them as the man, what it means to be a man. And then 本色 is their defining color, like that's their real color. So in this case, real man probably is a good translation. So here I'm just showing the early mountaineers photo. Like back then, the equipment of the mountaineering activity was still very rudimentary, but still there are men who are conquering the mountains, going up high, risking their lives, right? I think all of them are taking trained and measured risks over there. Probably majority of them, right? Nobody want to have accidents, so they did their own training and preparation and then going up high to the mountains. And I'm not saying this is only the true color, but this is a good reminder of what men can do. Put themselves in a trying environment and show you color in that process. So this is a good example to show 男儿本色, to show you the color of what they can bear, what they can tolerate, what they can conquer and achieve. So that's the 男儿本色. Cash intelligence, they are thinking, buy one word a day, see you